As Jordan Peterson asked,
here's a question. Why is everyone fat and stupid? That's a question, man. Because it's new.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It's new. And it's not sedentary lifestyle.
well, I'll answer that for you. As a tech leader, this translates directly to the 2 p.m. brain fog. It isn't random. It's tied to your lunch, undermining million-dollar decisions when clarity matters most. I am Dr. J, and clinical research shows high-carb meals impair working memory and word recollection. Military studies prove keto-adapted subjects maintain peak cognition even 36 hours without sleep. I will show you the glucose cognition link, reveal how starches act like sugar, and give you a practical framework for your schedule. After 7 years using ketosis to stay functional despite serious autoimmune conditions, my motivation is sharing how it profoundly improves cognition, not just managing disease. We will cover fuel sources for executive function and implement simple, strategic food choices for our demanding schedules. But first, what happens in your prefrontal cortex after that healthy grain bowl? When you eat that, before your critical 2 p.m. meeting, those carbs rapidly convert to glucose, giving a brief mental clarity before the real problem hits, directly impacting your decision quality when it matters most. Here is the physiological cascade. Your pancreas responds to the glucose spike by releasing insulin, which then crashes your blood glucose levels.
I just feel a lot of the things that make me feel weird about food, like a little groggy or like full, the aspects of food that I don't enjoy, they're not there with meat.
Research confirms that high-carb meals significantly lowers reaction times and causes significant sleepiness around 3.5 hours after a meal. This causes larger dips in performance compared to high-fat meals. This pattern is common among the many AI founders I work with. You're sharp during morning tasks and then struggle with major decisions by mid-afternoon. This isn't a willpower problem. It's a predictable metabolic response. Your brain consumes 20% of your energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. On fluctuating glucose is like training a complex transformer model on servers with unpredictable compute allocation, inefficient and prone to failure.
When you're on a low carbohydrate diet or you're doing intermittent fasting, one thing that's very clear is that your adrenaline and noradrenaline, epinephrine levels are higher.
After a high-carb lunch, your likelihood of defaulting to status quo decisions jumps to 38% in afternoon meetings, and your ability to evaluate multiple technical variables simultaneously drops 40%. Check your calendar. Most of your funding pitches, architecture reviews, and strategic decisions are scheduled precisely during this 2 to 5 p.m. cognitive valley, actively undermining your competitive edge. Reaching for more caffeine or energy drinks? That's often just masking the post-meal cognitive dip caused by these food errors, not solving the underlying energy deficit. The solution is your brain's built-in redundant system. It can efficiently run on ketones, an alternative fuel providing stable energy source without crashes.
The brain thrives on ketones. My own lab, we've published reports documenting how when a person's in ketosis, we actually had people, and we were pulling fat biopsies from their belly, little pieces of fat, taking it to my lab and testing the metabolic rate. The metabolic rate went up 3 times. It basically signals when ketones are up, insulin's down, it's sort of party time with metabolism.
When the military tested this with special operators under 36 hours of sleep deprivation, those using fat as primary energy resource maintained nearly baseline cognitive levels, while the control group degraded significantly. Now, like Lex Friedman admits, nutritional science can seem like a complex mystery full of profiteers. But he also notes,
I should say for me personally, it does seem that I feel by far the best when I eat only meat. It's very interesting.
This personal observation aligns with the practical applications we see. We've documented tech executives who reduced carbs, showing 14% improvement in cognitive flexibility within 2 weeks. Their ability to rapidly context switch between technical problems and business decisions improved most notably. Unlike nootropics with minimal evidence or meditation techniques that take months to master, this metabolic shift begins working almost immediately and compounds over time. Now that we understand the mechanism behind the afternoon crash, let's identify the specific foods causing the problem in your environment. There are 2 primary culprits hiding throughout your day: obvious sugars and their stealthier cousins, starches. Both impact your cognitive performance just through slightly different pathways. When sugar hits your system, whether from healthy sources, that energy drink, the office snack bar, or those free tech conference pastries, your blood glucose spikes almost immediately. We have seen this in real-time monitoring, and with the available of CGMs, you can too. We're talking 30 to 45 minutes for the spike to happen and the inevitable crash becoming right up. Biochemically, your pancreas overreacts to this glucose influx by pumping out excess insulin, often overshooting and creating reactive hypoglycemia that directly impacts your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for executive functions and decision making. This is the opposite of clear-headed mornings Jordan Peterson described after cutting carbs.
I started waking up in the mornings. I'd never been able to wake up in the mornings my whole life. I always had to stumble to the shower, and then maybe I could wake up. It took me an hour, and I felt terrible. And so all of a sudden I woke up, and it was like, oh, look at that. I'm awake in the morning, and I'm clear-headed, and things aren't gloomy and horrible. It's like, well, isn't that weird?
I've worked with a CTO who tracked his debugging performance and found around a 30% increase in error rates during these post-sugar dips. Sugar, particularly fructose, hijacks your brain's reward system, triggering dopamine release and disrupting the balance of other neurotransmitters, crucial for mood regulation and focus. This creates a powerful feedback loop, driving overconsumption and further blood sugar instability.
Then I lost 7 pounds the first month. I thought, 7 pounds, that's a lot in a month. And I'd already gone for a whole year on a sugar-free diet and I didn't lose any weight. And I'd been exercising. Then I lost 7 pounds the next month. Then I lost 7 pounds the next month. I lost 7 pounds every month for 7 months. It's like I had to throw away all my clothes. I went back to the same weight that I was when I was 26.
This isn't about willpower. It's about neurochemistry. And speaking of alcohol, Lex Friedman touches on this social reality, noting that while some find ways to add back spice,
there's health benefits that you are very serious about. For me, I can still drink whiskey. I'll still do the things that add a little bit of spice into the thing.
Yeah.
Now, when you completely remove the spice, it does become more difficult.
Even your evening isn't spared. That fruit smoothie during late coding sessions, that fructose component gets processed differently, especially at night when you're less active, potentially creating longer-term metabolic dysfunction that compounds over time. See this compounding? It can work both ways.
Sugar-free, but did you cut out bread and gluten?
No, it was just no desserts, no sugar, no. And I thought that might do it. Didn't make any difference at all.
I see this most clearly with engineers who do intermittent code reviews. Their error catching ability declines by 23% after consuming starchy or sugary evening meals. The real problem isn't just the obvious sugars, it's the hidden starches that dominates in the meals. That morning bagel from WeWork's bread is biochemically equivalent to around 7 teaspoons of pure sugar, and the sandwich brought in for the product sprint, the bread alone contributes another 8 teaspoons. When scientists, like my friend, measured blood glucose after these supposedly healthy meals, well, we saw the exact same glycemic response curve, same as candy consumption. A rice bowl triggers virtually identical neural network disruption as a soda.
As you said, you eat a big bowl of pasta and it tends to make you feel kind of sedentary.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas when you just eat meat, you can go, go, go.
It explains Joe Rogan's observation.
But I do feel shitty after I do it. It's like for simple mouth pleasure, I'm allowing myself to feel tired afterwards.
Tired, yeah, that's a big one, man.
The most concerning part is when these meals are strategically positioned before critical thinking tasks. I have worked with multiple tech companies where the most important architectural decisions happen right after lunch, precisely when the glucose is crashing. One AI founder I work with started graphing his team's innovation output measured by unique solutions proposed during meetings, and the data showed a 40% decrease in novel approaches during post-lunch meetings compared to morning sessions. Most tech leaders I work with are shocked when they realize the brain-friendly whole grain foods they've chosen are creating the same cognitive disruptions as pure sugar.
There's something wrong with the way we're eating. And what's wrong is that we're eating way too many carbohydrates. The goddamn food pyramid was made by the Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Health. It wasn't predicated on any scientific studies whatsoever. We shouldn't be eating massive quantities of corn syrup. We eat way too many carbohydrates.
Once you recognize that every sandwich, pasta dinner, rice bowl, or healthy granola bar is essentially a scheduled cognitive impairment, you can make a strategic decision, a shift that dramatically improves your cognitive capability and mental clarity. I have documented dozens of tech leaders who transformed their performance within days of implementing targeted dietary changes. One prominent machine learning researcher described it as suddenly having access to computational resources nobody else has. The benefits are particularly pronounced in the specific cognitive domains tech leaders rely on most: working memory, pattern recognition, error detection, and creative problem solving. This aligns with a major 2022 meta-analysis in neuroscience and biobehavioral reviews. Low glycemic load meals significantly improve immediate memory performance to 3.5 hours later compared to high glycemic load meals, especially in younger individuals or those with better glucose tolerance, preserving critical cognitive function during that post-lunch window. While this approach isn't necessary for everyone, for AI founders and tech executives, where cognitive performance directly impacts company outcomes, it represents one of the highest ROI performance tools available.
It's clear that for people that need to be active or who are sitting a ton, that the carnivore diet might be a great thing. And
next, I will walk you through exactly how to implement this in the context of your actual schedule. No complex protocols or impractical monitoring of your ketone levels, just straightforward interventions that fit into the reality of tech leadership. Let's talk implementation. I have refined this approach with many tech founders who share your schedule constraints. We see similar demands in other fields.
Police officers and firefighters are doing that now because a lot of their job, especially police officers, is sedentary and then it's go, go, go. And cops, you kind of see it's a binary distribution. They're either really fit or they're really unfit.
Yeah.
The intermittent fasting and these more, let's just call them elimination diets where it's mainly carnivore, really help those communities stay fitter and more active.
So these aren't theoretical protocols, just what actually works when you're running a company. In terms of diet, the founders are struggling with three things: managing the transition without performance dips, navigating the social aspects of tech culture,
and I'm still able to enjoy company. And when I eat once a day and eat meat, at least in Texas, you could still have all the merriment of you have dinner with friends.
And finding the time-efficient solutions that don't require tracking apps or elaborate meal prep. These are legitimate concerns, particularly the social navigation.
How difficult is it when you're trying to get breakfast? Like, what do you do when you...
Well, lots of times when we're traveling, we cook. So we usually stay in places where you can cook.
Oh, okay.
But most places you can get a steak. And so that's mostly what we do.
So here's the transition protocol I have seen work for even the busiest AI founders. Days 1 through 7 is a step-down phase where you gradually reduce carbs from 150 grams initially to 100 grams by day 3 to 50 grams by day 8.
I'd like to find out what your nutrient levels are and where they're coming
Yep.
from. I mean, how
Yeah,
much
I'm
nutrients are you
I'm
getting?
getting a little cramping in my toes from time to time, so I'm not sure about
Potassium, perhaps.
or magnesium. That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Well, that's
But
all
other
easy
than
to
that-
supplement. It's very easy.
To prevent the keto flu, which is basically a electrolyte imbalance, go with sodium chloride, potassium citrate, and magnesium citrate daily. Implement a simple 16:8 eating window, noon to 8 p.m. for most founders. This aligns with the positive mental state others describe.
So I discovered how incredible my mind feels when fasted. There's a focus that I am able to attain when I fast, especially when I eat once a day.
To accelerate adaptation, add cardio exercise to burn the remaining glycogen stores.
But I think for people who are doing mostly cardiovascular exercise, some resistance training, I think he does some, the carnivore thing may work very well.
Then days 8 to 21 is adaptation phase. Shift to the 50-50 plate rule. Half is protein and fats, and the other is non-starchy vegetables. Very simple.
The elimination of most carbohydrates has made a big shift in my life, and I do cheat occasionally with bread, occasionally with pasta. I will go off with ice cream and things along those lines, but most of the time I'm just eating meat and vegetables.
Keep carbs under 50 grams daily. Schedule critical decision making before 1 p.m. and expect full cognitive benefit by day 14. Some experience rapid improvements even earlier.
I had gastric reflux disorder, and I was snoring quite a lot. I stopped snoring the first week. I thought, what the hell?
Next, for daily operation, adopt this mindset. Think of carb consumption like a binary choice. It's either a 0 or a 1. The default setting should be 0, which is pretty much no carbs. But a 1 is an occasional carbs for special situations, occasions, events where carbs are unavoidable. And remember, input requires processing. Carbs must be burned down. Ideally, schedule a workout within 24 hours. At a minimum, take a 15-minute walk immediately after eating to mitigate the initial glucose impact. When eating out or traveling, use these specific tactics and phrases at any restaurant. I'll have the salmon with extra vegetables instead of rice. Could I substitute extra salad for the potatoes? I'm focusing on protein today. Double chicken, no pasta. Keep a cognitive emergency kit for unexpected delays or carb temptations. You can have jerky, nuts, cheese sticks, canned fish, and now you wonder what to expect. Sharper morning focus by day 3.
I need way less sleep. I get up in the morning and I'm fine. I'm not anxious. I'm not depressed. I don't have psoriasis. I'm certainly intellectually at my best at the moment.
Potentially worse cognition around day 7 as you adapt, and then complete elimination of 2 p.m. wall by week 2. While your competitors struggle with impaired cognition, you maintain peak performance. The potential impact can be profound, echoing dramatic turnarounds seen even in severe health cases.
To the point where there is a tremendous amount of research supporting the proposition that dietary factors play a major role in the genesis of such severe mental disorders, and not only mental disorders, also physical disorders like obesity, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, the common enemies of mankind.
Within 4 months of starting a ketogenic diet, his bipolar symptoms were in full and complete remission. He is off of probably 75% of the medicines that he had been taking, but he has not had an episode since. He does not have bipolar symptoms. His illness is in remission.
Imagine the cognitive edge possible when applying these principles for optimization.
Yeah.
That's the trick there. Try it for a month. See what happens. What the hell, a month, It's just a month.
Yeah. No, a month's not hard. Yeah. Interesting.
Remember how optimizing your brain's fuel impacts your critical decisions? What if you could train your brain's reasoning capabilities, much like advanced AI, to move beyond cognitive overload and make consistently better decisions?
Well, certainly, eventually this diet will kill me.
No, life will.
Well, you're right.
Click the link on the screen to watch the next video on harnessing reasoning layers, inspired by DeepSeek R1, and build the cognitive architecture to master complexity.